There was a specific Tuesday, 2 years ago, when I hit my breaking point. I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at a pile of stuff I had just bought from Target. I had candles I didn't need, a decorative throw pillow to replace one that was perfectly fine, a brand new kitchen gadget still in the box, sitting right next to the exact same type of gadget I bought 6 months prior and never even opened. I opened my banking app, and my credit card statement showed $4,100 in charges for that month alone. Then, I looked at my savings account. It sat at exactly $812. Here is the part that hurt the most. I wasn't broke on paper. I made $63,000 a year. In fact, I had been making over $50,000 for 6 straight years. If you looked at my salary, I was doing fine. If you looked at my life, I had absolutely nothing to show for it. I was trapped in what I now call high-income poverty. I thought the only way out was to work harder. I thought I needed a promotion, a massive side hustle, or to completely double my income. It turns out, I didn't need a bigger salary. I needed a completely different operating system for my life. That same week, I stumbled upon an article detailing how Japanese households have been managing their finances for over a century. In America, we celebrate spending. Wealth is loud. It's the new car, the new house, the Instagram posts. But in Japan, wealth is quiet. It is hidden. Financial restraint isn't viewed as a sacrifice. It is a highly respected cultural value. I decided to run an experiment. I applied these Japanese money principles to my life. I didn't change my income. I didn't start a side hustle. I didn't stop eating out entirely. I just changed the philosophy underneath my spending. In exactly 12 months, I went from $812 in savings to over $19,000. Same job, same apartment, same life, just a new set of rules. Today, we are covering 10 Japanese money habits that build quiet, lasting wealth. Every single one of these is applicable to your financial life right now in 2026, regardless of what you earn. And make sure you stick around for habit number 8, because it is the exact psychological trick that broke my cycle of paycheck to paycheck living for good. Habit 1, Kakeibo. Let's start with the absolute foundation. Habit number 1 is Kakeibo. Invented in 1904 by Japan's first female journalist, Kakeibo is a handwritten household ledger. Notice I said handwritten. Most of us in the West rely on automated apps. You sync your bank account. The app sends you a push notification saying you went over your dining budget. You swipe it away, and you completely ignore it. That is passive finance. You are letting an algorithm tell you what you already did wrong. Kakeibo is completely active. At the beginning of the month, you take a physical pen and paper and write down your income, your fixed expenses, and exactly how much you want to save. Then, every single day, you write down what you spent. But here is the genius part. You don't just list the items. You must sort every purchase into one of 4 distinct categories. Needs, housing, groceries, basic utilities. Wants, takeout, new clothes, hobbies. Culture, books, museum tickets, educational courses. Unexpected, medical bills, or car repairs. When you tap a piece of plastic at a register, your brain barely registers the transaction. The friction is 0. But when you sit down at 9 p.m., open a notebook, and physically write out, DoorDash, $42, want, your hand is communicating with your brain. You are forcing yourself to process the trade-off. You are looking at that $42 and realizing it cost you 2 hours of your working life. Practitioners of this method claim it reduces unnecessary spending by up to 35%. I hit about 22% in my very first month. I saved roughly $1,150 simply because I was too embarrassed to write down my ridiculous impulse purchases in my own notebook. Habit 2, Mottainai. Once you have the Kakeibo tracking your money, you have to address the leaks. Habit number 2 is Mottainai. Mottainai is an emotional response of regret and deep discomfort when something useful is wasted. In Japanese culture, wasting a resource, whether it's food, clothing, or money, is considered almost morally wrong. It shows a lack of respect for the effort it took to create that thing. Contrast this with America. Waste is structurally built into our economy. We buy in bulk at Costco, shove it in the back of the pantry, and throw it away 6 months later. The USDA estimates that American households waste roughly 30% of the food they buy. That is $2,100 per household per year, literally thrown in the garbage. When I started practicing Mottainai, I tracked my food waste for one single week. I was throwing away $40 of food every 7 days. That is over $2,000 a year. I immediately changed my behavior. I stopped buying for the week and started meal planning strictly around what was already sitting in my fridge. I froze leftovers the second I finished eating. Within 3 months, my grocery spending dropped by almost 30%. Mottainai shifts your mindset from a consumer who is constantly acquiring to a steward who is managing resources. Habit 3. Hara Hachi Bu. Habit number 3 is Hara Hachi Bu. This is originally a dietary teaching that means eat until you are 80% full. Most Americans eat until they are physically uncomfortable. We want our plates 100% full. We want our houses 100% full of furniture. We want our calendars 100% booked. And we want our budgets stretched to 100% of our income. The financial implications of Hara Hachi Bu are massive. It translates to a general life philosophy of enough. It means you intentionally leave a 20% margin in your life. Let's look at the math. If you earn $4,200 a month, practicing Hara Hachi Bu means you architect your life as if you only earn $3,360. You refuse to let your rent, your car payment, and your lifestyle creep past that 80% mark. That remaining $840 isn't deprivation. It is margin. It is wealth insurance. The current U.S. personal savings rate hovers around 4%. The Japanese cultural default has historically been closer to 20%. That 16-point gap is the difference between waking up at 3 a.m. stressing about a flat tire and sleeping soundly knowing you have the cash to handle whatever life throws at you. Habit 4. Kaizen. Habit number 4 is Kaizen, which means continuous, small improvement. You probably know this concept from Toyota's manufacturing process, but it is the ultimate personal finance hack. When Americans want to get out of debt, we try to do it all in one weekend. We declare bankruptcy on our lifestyle. We cut up the credit cards, swear off restaurants forever, and sell our cars. What happens? The amygdala, your brain's fear center, perceives this massive, sudden shift as a threat. You hold on for 3 weeks, completely burn out, and end up binge spending to feel better. Kaizen flies under the radar of your brain's defense mechanisms. You do not overhaul your life. You improve by 1% repeatedly. This month, you reduce your dining out budget by 10%. Just 10%. Next month, you log into your portal and increase your 401k contribution by 1%. The month after that, you find one $10 subscription and cancel it. These 1% improvements do not trigger resistance. They accumulate completely unnoticed. One day you wake up, realize your savings rate went from 4% to 18%, and you genuinely cannot pinpoint the exact moment your life changed. That is the power of Kaizen. Habit number 5 is Ikigai. In the West, Ikigai has been hijacked by corporate hustle culture as a way to find your perfect career. But traditionally, Ikigai is simply about having a purpose that gives structure and joy to your daily life. It is your reason for waking up. When you apply Ikigai to your finances, it answers the one fundamental question that spreadsheets and budget apps never ask. What is this money actually for? Most of us spend completely without intention. We buy things to soothe the stress of the jobs we hate. But when you define your Ikigai, everything changes. Let's say your Ikigai is to be incredibly present for your children's early years without suffocating financial stress. Once you define that, every unnecessary purchase becomes a direct obstacle to your reason for being. You no longer need incredible willpower to stop impulse buying on Amazon. When you pick up that item, you ask, does this serve my Ikigai? If the answer is no, the desire to buy it evaporates. You don't need a stricter budget. You need a clearer purpose. Habit 6. Wabi-sabi. Habit number 6 is the direct antidote to American consumer culture. It is called Wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is the profound appreciation of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. We live in a society driven by aesthetic dissatisfaction. The marketing machine is designed to make you feel embarrassed of your 3-year-old phone, your 5-year-old car, and your perfectly functional winter coat just because the style changed. Wabi-sabi teaches that a sweater with a visible mend is not ruined. It has a story. A scratched dining table is evidence of family dinners. Americans spend roughly $9,500 a year on apparel, home furnishings, and electronics. It is a constant cycle of upgrading. If adopting Wabi-sabi helped you reduce that aesthetic spending by just 25% because you chose to keep things longer and repair them instead of replace them, you would redirect $2,375 a year. If you invested that money at an 8% return over 25 years, that mindset shift alone is worth over $183,000. If you are doing everything right, like cutting that aesthetic spending, but you still wake up every morning feeling like you are falling behind everyone else your age, you need to be here this Monday. I am dropping a brand new video exposing the exact lie the fake rich used to make you feel broke. We are breaking down the psychology of why you feel behind, how the modern game of wealth is rigged against you, and the only 3 real numbers that actually matter. You are not behind. You are just playing the wrong game. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now so that video hits your feed the second it goes live on Monday morning. All right, back to the reset. Habit number 7 is Osoji. In Japan, Osoji is the tradition of big cleaning. At the end of the year, families thoroughly clean their homes from top to bottom so they can enter the new year with clarity and a blank slate. Applied to your money, Osoji is your annual financial deep clean. Once a year, you must sit down and review everything. You pull up every credit card statement. You review every single subscription. You check your car insurance policy to see if you can negotiate a better rate. You look at your investment allocations. Most people bleed wealth through 1,000 tiny cuts. Auto-pay is convenient, but it is also a wealth destroyer if left unchecked. During my very first financial Osoji, I combed through a year of bank statements. I found a premium app subscription I hadn't opened in 10 months, a gym membership I wasn't using, and a cable package I was overpaying for. I freed up $318 a month in under 2 hours. That is roughly $3,800 a year back in my pocket for the cost of an afternoon's work. Habit 8. Chokin. We've reached habit number 8, and I promised you this was the one that changed my life. It is called Chokin. Chokin is the habit of saving before you spend. The typical American wealth formula is completely broken. We earn, we spend, and then we hope something is left over to save. But Parkinson's law states that spending will always expand to fill the income available. If the money is in your checking account, you will find a way to spend it. Chokin dictates a new formula. Earn, save, then spend what remains. You must automate your investments to leave your account the exact morning after your paycheck hits. If you remove the option to spend it, your brain adapts to the smaller balance immediately. Habit 9. Shinrin-yoku. Habit number 9 is Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. The financial application of this is free living. We have been brainwashed to believe that relaxation requires a transaction. Going to the mall, buying drinks, paying for events. Shinrin-yoku is the deliberate choice to build your weekends around things that cost nothing. Walking in nature, reading library books, cooking a cheap meal with friends. When I decoupled fun from spending, my entertainment budget dropped by 60% and my weekends actually felt more fulfilling. Finally, habit number 10, Hansei. This is the glue that holds everything together. Hansei is sincere, rigorous self-reflection. Once a month, you open your Kakeibo notebook and you ask 3 simple questions without guilt or shame. Did I meet my goal? What purchase brought me the most genuine value? What will I do differently next month? A $3 notebook. Leaving 20% of your plate empty. Finding beauty in a scratch table. None of these sound like aggressive wealth-building strategies. But wealth is not built in massive leaps. It is built through compound interest. These tiny behaviors, stacked day after day, month after month, produce a relationship with money that is grounded, intentional, and unbreakable. You don't need a bigger paycheck to start building wealth right now. You might already earn enough. You just need a notebook, a pen, and the willingness to finally pay attention to where your life energy is actually going. If you want to start, don't go buy a $50 financial planner. Go buy a $3 notebook today. Start the Kakeibo method tonight. Let me know down in the comments. Look at your last 5 purchases. Which one of them are you going to be forced to label as a want? Drop it below.